hello again. It's Mark and Linda Wardell coming to you from the Freedom and Virtue Institute with another cooking recipe that we hope you enjoy. Today we're going to be cooking bacon and egg pie. Now, bacon and egg pie can be eaten anywhere at any time. I particularly like to take it on a picnic, or if I'm out boating or doing something outdoors. It can be eaten hot or cold. I like it cold outdoors, but it's very nice also as a meal anytime, a dinner or a lunch. Where else would you eat it, Miss Linda?
Just if I want a snack, I might go to the refrigerator and cut up a piece. And
when you have friends over for Sunday night dinner,
this is an anytime meal.
Here is the recipe for bacon and egg pie, and we'll put that up later on again as well, but you can see that it's relatively few ingredients. There is puffed pastry, and you can purchase that. You can also make it, but we find that it's easier, especially for students, young students, if they don't have to make it, it's easier to buy it. And you can buy it from, the one we're going to use here today is from Pepperidge Farm, and it's puff pastry ready to bake. Comes in 2 sheets per box, and we'll be using both sheets today. Then we use an onion, some bacon, peas, eggs, and just a little bit of milk to put on the top of the pastry, not to go inside anything. And we'll go through the method with you as we go. But here are the ingredients we're using today, and you can see the pastry that we use for making the pie from Pepperidge Farms. Puff pastry, 2 sheets. We have an onion that is ready to chop. We have some bacon. We have some peas, some eggs, and just a little bit of milk. It doesn't matter how much. We'll be just using that with a brush on top of the pastry to help it brown while cooking. Alright, Miss Linda, would you share with us how we make bacon and egg pie?
Alright, well, I'm going to move some of my things here because I'm going to roll out the pastry. So I'm just going to put some things here over on the bench, just to give us a little bit of extra room. And I am going to open up this pastry box. But before I actually get started and handle any of this food, I am going to wash my hands.
That's always the first thing that you should do, people. Wash your hands and start clean, because you'll be handling the food. And even though we're cooking it today, you should make it a habit of washing your hands, especially in this day and age of coronaviruses and flu and other things that can beset us and cause us to become sick.
Now, I've also turned my oven on to 400. That is actually the first instruction that we have.
So the oven is on to 400 to preheat.
And here is my first sheet of pastry. Now I'm going to put a little flour, just sprinkle a little flour on here. It just saves the pastry getting stuck to the bench and also to the rolling pin. So I'm going to roll it out a little thinner.
And so we estimate that the thickness of the pastry that you're going to use for both the bottom of the pie and the top of the pie is somewhere between 1/16 and 1/8 of an inch. And so Ms. Linda's about to line this bottom of this pie with this first piece of pastry. It goes on like that. Press it down into the corners, and then we'll trim around the lip of this bowl, this glass bowl.
Just take a knife and just cut round the outside. Very easy to do.
Now what are you going to do with that piece of pastry that you've just cut off there, Miss Linda?
I am going to save that, and I may make perhaps a little mini one, a little individual one with the leftover pastry. There's always something that you can use the leftovers with.
Now don't I often see some leftover pastry in the refrigerator?
You do.
And so you're just saving that to use for another day?
I am.
Okay.
Now I'm just going to show you something very quickly here that I just suddenly thought of. Here I have just a little dish. I could roll my leftovers out and I could make just a little individual egg and bacon
Well,
pie.
how about we do that today, Miss Linda?
Alright, I will do that. Well, let me roll out this one.
Just set that aside. Well, no, alright.
Let's just put it over there. Because I want to, while I'm rolling, I want to roll out this for the top.
Alright, so she's going to take the second piece of the pastry out of the packet now and roll that out. That's going to be a top for the pie when all of the ingredients are inside that dish. And she'll put that aside and then use the excess pieces for making a small pie, say for an individual meal.
I'm just going to put it over there for now. Alright, let's roll this out and we'll make it the bottom for this mini pie. Oops, needs a little more flour.
So this is just one idea for the leftover. And children, if you're wanting to make yourself a quick meal, and there's some leftover pastry in the refrigerator, this is a very good use for it. Okay. Now, how many eggs would you put into that one?
I am going to put 2 in that one.
Alright, 2 for a single meal. Alright, so now we're going to go back to our main dish, which would be for a family or picnic size to take away with us. And the first thing to do is to chop up some onion.
And we need...
And I know how you love to chop up onion, everybody. If you have plenty of space between you and your head, and you're not quite over it directly, it won't cause so many tears. So we're chopping up onion. And how much will you put into this large pie, Miss Linda?
It is half a cup.
Half a cup. And over here we have a half a cup measuring device, and this one is a full cup, which we'll be using for the bacon. Already has some in it, so we would save a little time. Alright, half a cup of chopped onion gets sprinkled around over the base, and we can also use the little bit of leftover onion for our single portion.
There we go.
Alright, next we're going to put in the bacon, and we use 1 cup of chopped bacon.
There's our cup.
There's the cup. It already has some, but we're going to show you how to prepare it into little pieces. So this bacon has been trimmed prior to this point where we took most of the fat off of it. Okay, that's about 3/4 of a cup there. A little bit more perhaps. And you can see the kind of sizes of pieces that Miss Linda's cutting here. And there we have our cup of bacon, and that is now put into the pie dish over the top and with the onion.
And we need to kind of separate it and sprinkle it around.
Yes, you don't want it in lumps, so keep it a little separate. And the next thing that we're going to add on top of this is a few peas. And for this recipe we use half a cup of peas. There was 1 cup of chopped bacon, half a cup of chopped onion, and we're going to add a little bit of the bacon into there for the 1 portion. And for the big pie, for the family pie, half a cup of peas. These peas are what kind of peas, Ms. Linda?
These are frozen peas.
Okay, could one use fresh peas as well if you get them fresh?
Of course, because they're going to be cooked in the oven.
There we go. Sprinkle the peas evenly around in the pie dish with the onion and the bacon.
I'm just going to put a little bit, just 1 or 2 in there.
A few on our single portion that was using up the pastry. And now the eggs go on the top. And so Ms. Linda's going to put 6 eggs into the family portion of the pie and 2 eggs into the single portion. And I'll get those 2 eggs out ready for her while you're watching her do the large one. There we are.
Here's the 2 for our mini one.
Now, is that all you do with those eggs, Miss Linda?
No, it is not.
All right.
Get this out of the way.
So watch now. We've got a little knife, and she's just going to prick and each of the yolks so that they are able to spread out a little bit during the cooking of the pie.
That's all we have to do.
And basically that's it. Now we put a top on and then bake it. And this, believe me, is yummy. So you're going to enjoy this, I think. Not too many people that I know do not like a bacon and egg pie.
Now I have a little bit of milk and I have a pastry brush.
Let us see the pastry brush.
Looks a little bit like a paintbrush, but it is in fact a pastry brush.
We're just going to apply a thin layer of milk around the top 1/4 inch of the inside inch of that a piece of pastry.
And
that's in the bottom of the dish.
That is so that the top will stick.
So the top will meld well onto that.
And then we can just push the edge down just so that it does stick.
And the milk acts a little bit like a glue layer and just keeps those 2 layers of pastry together.
And now we can...
so that you have a true pie. Now Ms. Linda's trimming off the excess pastry from the top, which she'll roll out again and use as a top for the single portion bacon and egg pie. So if you're just living alone, or if you're just wanting to make something for yourself for a quick Sunday night dinner perhaps, a little bit of milk around the outside edge, put the top on the single portion, trim that up. And now there's just one last thing that we're going to do before putting these pies into the oven, which has reached its 400-degree preheat and is now ready to bake the pies.
Oops.
So what's the last thing you're going to do, Miss Linda, now?
We're going to brush the top.
Take the milk and brush the entire top of the pies with a thin layer of milk.
That just helps to give it a nice golden sheen to it.
All right.
Not a lot of milk, just a little.
Okay, is it ready?
It is ready to go in the oven.
So we'll pop it in the oven where it's going to bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 40 minutes. Now, Ms. Linda, if they were just doing the single pie on its own,
yes.
There's the temperature. The timer is on 39 minutes and counting. How long would you still cook it for 40 minutes if you just did that one single pie?
Yes, because we still have the bacon and onion, etc. to be cooked in the inside. You have to make sure that the inside of the pie is cooked.
Okay, so there it is. We're going to pause the video now and allow that to bake for 40 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll show you exactly what it looks like.
Now we are just about to take out our egg and bacon pie. We've got another 30 seconds and then we'll have a look and see what it's like.
Yes, I think we've had a bit of a sneaky look at it in the oven and it looks fine. So here we are down within our 5-second countdown, and let's have a look at it as it comes out of the oven. The pie is nicely risen and it's got a nice brown top on it. You can hear it sizzling a little bit, and of course the single portion also looks very, very nice.
It's nice and golden on the top because we put the milk on top. Now I'm sure you'd like to have a little look inside and see what it looks like inside.
Normally we'd let it cool for how long before you would get into it?
Oh, just until it's just probably 5 minutes perhaps.
Can we put a slice of that on this plate maybe?
Let's see if I can get this out.
And turn it up.
Maybe I didn't cut it all the way through.
There it is. Maybe turn it over. Well, I'll get a look at the edge. There's what it looks like, and it is delicious, believe me. That is bacon and egg pie. You could serve that now as a main course with perhaps some vegetables or other things. There we are. Have a look inside that. And of course the single portion looks just the same, but you have bacon, egg, onions, peas in a pie, beautifully cooked and ready now to share with your friends, family, and you could give it to teachers as an appreciation for them.
That's a good idea.
So we hope you've enjoyed learning how to make bacon and egg pie. Again, these videos are coming to you from the Freedom and Virtue Institute, and we work with children trying to encourage them to learn skills in life that they might become entrepreneurs and be able to take care of themselves, to be able to cook and provide for themselves and their families. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please go to the fvinstitute.org and you'll be able to find these videos there on our YouTube channel.